It may be January, but we're doing 2 days here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. I'm Thomas Frank Carr, bringing you as much information, content, and conversation as I can, because I want to keep you informed of what's going on with Penn State football. And I got a new batch of evals. So basically what I'm trying to do is just like what I do on the site every day. I want to give you an idea of what's going on. I scouted 7 players today. I come to you at the end of these, and I apologize, a little bit later than normal because Penn State got a commit, so I had to add on another player here to what I was looking at in the portal today. It's been a lot of fun, but it's just a lot of things to keep straight. So if you watch this channel, I'm not great at keeping things straight, so bear with me as we go through all of this. But I appreciate you being here, and the first thing I have to ask, because the almighty algorithm is never satisfied. Every video is just like a fresh start. And so this virgin snow in front of you, I need you to plow it for me. Please like the video, subscribe, and if you haven't done so, like the video and reply all those great things, and subscribe to the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel if you haven't yet, because you'd like you to know when we post these things so you know that they're up and you can watch them and learn a little bit about what's going on. Okay, so like before, when I was scouting defensive linemen, I'm going to give you a couple of the names we're talking about because I don't want to be here all night. I apologize. There's 7 players. We're going to talk about 3 today. So one of them is a commit, and we can get into that one a little bit more in detail because I have gone through the full scouting report. And by the way, you can read this all at bluewhiteillustrated.com. But let's get into those right now and get you the commitment first, and then we'll go through these. So the fancy graphics, 3, 2, 1, it's not like of importance or anything. I just like having an intro and outro.
Number 3.
Are you ready to watch me struggle through another name? Because here's another one I'm worried about, and I'm very frustrated with the Utah Utes website. They did not have a pronunciation guide that I could quickly find, but I believe Penn State got the commitment from Dallas Vakalahi today. I know that they did, but I think that's how you say his name, and if not, I apologize. Ignorance is a problem. 6'2", 318 nose tackle. Run defender. Start at the point of attack, gap control. When he can play one-on-one and just like, hey, I'm in the A-gap, and that's the end of this play, he's very good at that. And I think that generally, coming to Penn State, his job is going to be stop the run, and stop the run. Now, if that sounds a lot like what we talked about with Keanu Williams, that's right. So I think when you talk when he's coming to Penn State and you're looking at the building a depth chart and building a roster, he is going to be a one technique or a nose tackle, however they want to define these things. That's going to be his job, because when it comes to pass rushing, don't see a whole lot there. Rotational defensive tackle, I think, is where he's going to fit into the conversation behind a starter with a lot of experience in this particular defense like Keanu Williams. And he can be a guy that comes in relief on early downs if you need a nose tackle for goal line plays. Interesting body type, 6'2", 320, squatty, powerful guy. Don't know that he has the longest arms in the world, but he is, at his best, a really good run defender. Now, within that, the context and nuances, I don't know that he always plays up to that size. So some of the things that you'll see maybe somewhere on the website, somewhere else in conversation about Dallas Vakalahi, that he has 2 years at Utah. So he is by eligibility a sophomore. But he's also spent 2 years on a Mormon mission, so he's actually a class of 2022 defensive tackle. So when we talk about upside, we talk about the physical maturity of a guy that could be growing. I think from a playing experience, there's more to gain from technique and from playing with a better base and playing with less. He plays on his toes a lot. And that could be for conditioning reasons. That could be for a number of different reasons. But getting to play a little bit more in balance would be good. And I don't know from a physical perspective, like he's going to get bigger or stronger. Like he's probably closer to the end of his development curve. But at the same time, he spent 2 years out of football. So I don't know how to gauge that, because by age, he's near the end of his physical development from a college perspective, but it's only 2 years. So it's a bit of a wild card here. And obviously, Penn State sees an upside in what he can be from that perspective. So I'm interested to see how the development happens here, because I do think from a physical perspective, there's a couple things going on from that run defense. More times than not, he's doing his job. And that's what you want from a guy that's going to be a rotational defensive tackle, not going to be your starter. You want him doing his job, and he will do that. Didn't see him out of gap a whole lot. I don't think he lost all that much, but for a guy that's going to be, taking on a lot of blocks and trying to eat up space. His work against double teams can improve. And that's what we're talking about with maybe some in the weight room this year, transitioning some of that weight into his legs, if you catch my drift. I don't know that he has a whole lot of upside as a pass rusher, but this is a guy that obviously is going to be brought in to stop the run and be a part of what they're building up front. I'm interested. This is one that I want to watch and see, because I could be wrong about this one. I think the hemming and hawing you're hearing is like, I could be wrong because of the whole, how old he is versus how much football he's played. I think there's some more to give here. But what you saw on film, only 7 tackles last year, playing 220 snaps. So sometimes he struggles to disengage from the lineman. And that is a bit of a concern. But again, if he's in his gap and doing his job, that's the main thing. Now we're going to get into a couple of players that have visited Penn State or are going to visit Penn State that I think you should know about and I think that are interesting to talk about. And the first one is a running back. Penn State's already picked up Carson Hansen. They've already picked up the running back from Ohio State. Another player that has visited recently that we've talked about on the show, L.J. Phillips Jr. from South Dakota. I know that he is a very popular player in the transfer portal because he had gobs and gobs of yards as a running back last year. So this is the thing of coming from South Dakota. It is very hard to understand exactly what productivity translates and what productivity doesn't translate to the Big Ten level. So here are the numbers, and I'm trying to pull them up quickly here for you because they are crazy. 1,900 yards rushing last year and 19 touchdowns, 6.5 yards per carry. So those are great. Great vision, anticipation, cuts. When I was talking earlier this week, if you watched the live shows, about what Penn State wants from their running backs, they want, from what I can tell, they want guys that have great vision, anticipation, they understand the blocking scheme, they understand the defense and where the hole is going to go, so they can set up their runs and cut into the hole. They want one-cut runners, and I think that he is that. Of all the things, he absolutely is that. So he will be a productive runner where he decides to go, because at 5'9", 225, my dude is a short king. He's all legs. This dude is thick with 2 C's. But at 225 and that size, he's not necessarily explosive, meaning he doesn't have a lot of quick twitch to him. Fluid football player. No problems with his athleticism in terms of his mobility or ability to move in space. It's more about his long speed and his acceleration. Maybe limited overall, but a guy that in a role could be very good at Penn State. Now, the question is, is he going to join the program because of the choices they've made in the portal already? But he is a guy, if he does sign with Penn State, or if he signs somewhere else, helpful to know what he can do. I think if at baseline, though, with his size and his stature, a goal line back, probably not out of the question. But a couple of things, like against Iowa State, only had 7 attempts, and he was not the starter at the beginning of the year. He actually took over. He rushed for 1,900 yards, and he didn't start for the first 2 games of the season. 7 carries against Iowa State for 3.3 yards per carry. And then if you look at the games where he played against quality opponents, North Dakota State is a perennial powerhouse at the FCS level, 38 yards rushing, 3.5 yards per carry. Murray State, 224 yards and 4 touchdowns on 24 carries. There's some crazy stuff in here. Northern Colorado, 300 yards in that game. These are really not... I always feel bad saying these things. These are bad football teams. Like, for that level, the talent it's not there. Like, these are not competitive football teams or realistic to what he's going to be seeing at the next level, where he does one average thing and then breaks 8 tackles. So I do have some concerns about these numbers translating to the next level. But I do think he can play at the next level. It's just what role would he have in an offense as a rotational player? If he were to come to Penn State, I think there's a role for him for sure. Okay, so our final player, hopefully by the time I get done talking to you about this, he hasn't committed elsewhere. But I think this is maybe the top ability target that I've seen Penn State host in the transfer portal.
Have you heard of Wave Fruit Farm? It's this great farm market bakery and cafe. You can shop at them either at their farm in Port Matilda or downtown State College.
No way!
Yes, Wave Fruit Farm. They have all sorts of seasonal fruits and veggies.
Way cool.
No, Wave Fruit Farm. But anyway, you should visit their bakery and cafe. They serve amazing food all day.
Way.
Fruit Farm!
Quick reminder, you can get the information on all these players I've scouted, all 7, plus all the other information from our insiders about who's visiting, when they're visiting, why they're visiting, and how it's all going. Right now, subscribe to BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. The link, by the way, I should always mention, is in the description of the video. So you don't have to go very far even to find the link to subscribe. It's the second link when you go into the description of the video. If you want to join us, it's 50% off. Not only do you get access to all of our content, which is just a tsunami of content right now. The guys are churning out all kinds of stuff. But you also get access to Rivals and to On3 national sites with that subscription. So, not only are you getting it half off, you're getting 3 for the price of 1. Okay, let's get into our final part.
Number 1.
This is a guy who's eluded me for several years now, and it's Noah Rogers, NC State wide receiver. Penn State was interested in him. I want to say the class of 2023. 6'2", 200, went to Ohio State, transferred out after 1 year, and went back home to North Carolina to play for NC State. And let me tell you, he did not transfer because he couldn't hack it at Ohio State, because this dude can play. Explosive downfield threat, contested catch guy. Awesome effort. Some of these things, for a former 5-star wide receiver, you kind of wonder, what's the engine under the hood? You obviously see the talent, you see the physical abilities, but, what's the drive? This dude plays nasty and tough. Effort. Maybe not always the best blocker, but a dude who is putting in the effort and is willing to put in the effort as a blocker. The questions about him, I don't have many. But if there's one thing that happened to him last year, drops were an issue. 5 drops last year. And he's never been the number 1 receiver in an offense with a target number. That's really what I'm trying to say here is, yes, he was a starter for NC State this past year, but 3 targets a game, 2 here, 3 there. Not a high volume passing attack for him specifically. And he rotated a lot at NC State. So is he looking for a number 1 role? Because I think he's worth it at 6'2", 197 with his abilities. Also contested catch. So 60+% 2 years in a row, and having double-digit contested catch situations. And it's not like as a guy who's a big physical receiver that he's not fast enough to get open, so he's got a bunch of contested catches. This dude burns. He gets downfield in a hurry. He fits perfectly into what Penn State wants to do. The question is, with Chase Soule and Brett Escleden on the roster already, presumably as starters, does he want to come in and be in a rotation again? Those 3, that would be awesome. That would be really fun to watch, especially with a guy like Rocco Becht that can deliver you 3 passes a game and you might get 60 yards every single game. I think the concern here is that he left. He's at Auburn. And Auburn likes to spend money, and this is a number 1 wide receiver. Just to throw this up here again, the ceiling here is number 1 wide out in any offense. He's an X receiver, and if not, he could come into Penn State and be in the rotation. I would be interested to see if then that mixed up the rotation of maybe some of the Eskildsen played in the slot a little bit last year. I wonder if Rodgers were to commit here, if there'd be a competition for who's playing X and who's playing Z and who's going to be in the slot. You can manufacture guys to play anywhere you want, by the way. But you do have to have primary players at certain positions. You got to build an actual depth chart. It's not just 1 to 4 at every position. So he can play in the slot, but I think he's primarily an X receiver outside. You're going to see him play on Sundays. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, just because there's not enough information. He's got 100 total career targets. So I'd love to see more from Noah Rogers. I'd like to watch it happen. So from a rooting interest, it's not that I'm rooting for Penn State, but I've wanted to watch this kid play football on a regular basis since Penn State was interested in him the first time back in 2023, because he's big, fast, and explosive. And in this offense, he would fit really well. So he'd also fit really well at Auburn, and they're willing to splash a lot of money. I don't know Penn State's situation and what they're interested in, but I do know that they need more receivers. The part here that I'll leave you with is that thing we just mentioned is I don't know that they have a natural slot receiver right now, and there's some other guys in the article that I think would fit that really well. So that's my tease for you to go check that out at bluewhiteillustrated.com. The link is the link is in the video down in the description, and I'm going to have the graphic come up here in just a couple seconds once I get done yapping and we get out of here for today. So those are the 3 players that we scouted today that I wanted to tell you about, including a commitment, another defensive tackle, more proving the point that Penn State wants more size, and they're probably going to play some sort of hybrid front where they're going to focus on run defense first. All 3 defensive tackles they've added are big nose tackle types. And now you have the flexibility to play one of them at 3 technique. Again, just giving you the general assumption that there are 2 defensive tackle positions, and we're using those as semantics to understand one versus the other. They are building a brick wall up front. So how that goes for the rest of the transfer portal, they're going to need more players at that position, and I'm going to be scouting those guys in the defensive targets and visits tomorrow over at bluewhiteillustrated.com, and then we'll talk about those guys in further detail on Friday when we do that video. I'm Thomas Frank Carr here for the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. Thanks. We'll be back in a minute, and it's going to feel like a minute the way all this is flying by. Man, days are going by fast in the portal. Day 6 is complete, heading into day 7. Talk to you then.